All right, let's get into a story that is it's part family comedy, part mystery, and it's all about one of the weirdest pets you can possibly imagine. We're going to break down this awesome story about Zigzag, a bird who came into a family's life, turned it completely upside down, and then somehow right side up again.
So everything really boils down to this one simple question. Just think about it for a second. That one thing that drives you absolutely nuts about a pet or a person or maybe even yourself. Now, what if that one little habit in just the right situation was actually a hidden superpower? Keep that thought in your head as we meet the Krishnan family. So here we go. Our story kicks off with the Krishnan family. Dr. Krishnan is a child specialist, and his clinic is so chaotic he calls it a torture chamber. One day, he gets a call from his buddy, the famously eccentric Uncle Somo, and Somo wants to leave his favorite pet, Zigzag, with them while he's traveling. And let's just say the family is not exactly thrilled. And here is exactly why they're worried. See, Uncle Somu, he has a bit of a track record. His gifts sound amazing on paper, but in reality, they're total disasters, like the insect-eating plant that needed a heater to survive, or the penknife that just destroyed all their clothes, and oh yeah, the boomerang that basically declared war on the entire neighborhood. So you can imagine when Somu calls this bird an absolute treasure, the Krishnans are bracing for the worst. And then the treasure shows up. And it's not some cool beetle or zigzagging snake like the kids were hoping for. No, it's this thing. Zigzag is maybe the strangest, grumpiest-looking bird they have ever laid eyes on. He's supposed to know 21 languages, but he won't say a word. Instead, he just silently starts hiding pieces of fruit all over their ceiling fan. Yeah. So the family is a little let down, but they figure, okay, maybe he just needs to settle in. But that's when they discover Zigzag's one very loud and very, very unexpected talent. A talent that is about to throw their entire house into total chaos. So the second he gets comfortable on a curtain rod, Zigzag is out like a light. And the moment he's asleep, a sound begins. It starts off kind of low, like a rumble, but it builds into something, well, something else entirely. This is not your average snore, okay? The story says it sounds like a whole herd of elephants with a bad cold, just trumpeting their anger all over the room. It is this deafening, house-shaking noise, kangaroo wheeze, and it is now the new soundtrack of their lives. So, of course, they try everything to make it stop. They squirt him with water, they roar like lions, they howl like hyenas, they even try a coyote call. Nothing. Zigzag just keeps sleeping, completely undisturbed, snoring away. Mrs. Krishnan even jokes that he only speaks Snorish, Snories, and Snorian. Just when they think, okay, it cannot possibly get any worse than this, their maid, Lakshmi, does something totally innocent that unleashes a whole new level of mayhem. It's about to go from a noise problem to a full-blown disaster zone. Hey, remember all that fruit Zigzag hid on the fan? Well, Lakshmi walks into the room, hears nothing but the snoring, and flips the switch for the fan, and boom! All of a sudden, it is literally raining half-eaten bananas and guavas all over the art studio. The damage is, well, it's immediate. Mrs. Krishnan's masterpiece painting gets completely splattered with gooey papaya. The neighbors are calling nonstop about the snoring. And then, in this perfectly ironic twist, the art critic who lives upstairs calls and asks Mrs. Krishnan if she could please be a little quieter during her singing lessons. They are desperate. So they email Uncle Somu for help. 6 agonizing days later, his reply comes in. And it is so unhelpful it's almost funny. He says he's never heard Zigzag snore, that the bird hardly ever sleeps. That is it. That's the last straw. Mrs. Krishnan puts her foot down. The bird has to go. Now. So Dr. Krishnan gets an ultimatum from his wife, and he is totally out of options. He has to get Zigzag out of the house, like immediately. And this one act of desperation, it's the moment the whole story pivots. He has no idea where to take him, so Dr. Krishnan brings the snoring bird to the one place on Earth he should absolutely not be, his crazy, chaotic clinic that's already filled with crying kids. He tells Zigzag, "Don't you dare sleep," and then walks into his office, just waiting for that sonic boom of a snore to start. But there's no snore. Instead, he hears something unbelievable. A voice, totally clear and commanding, cuts right through all the usual noise in his waiting room. It tells a kid in a blue t-shirt to stop jumping on the sofa, and the whole room just goes silent.
You guessed it. It was Zigzag. The bored, grumpy, snoring pest is completely gone. And in his place is this happy, alert, and unbelievably efficient manager of children. He's totally in his element, born to command this kind of chaos.
And then it all clicks into place. Zigzag wasn't a nuisance. He was just bored out of his mind. Turns out he was trained by a witch doctor and then by Dr. Somu to be a helper. He was a professional who was basically unemployed, and snoring was his way of protesting. At the clinic, Zigzag is a rock star. He soothes the kids who are scared, he scolds the naughty ones, he makes the crying ones laugh with his songs and his French poetry. He single-handedly turns that torture chamber into this calm, happy, orderly place. This was his real talent. Now, just as Dr. Krishnan is watching all this in amazement, the phone rings. It's his wife, and she sounds happy, incredibly happy. She has some news about that papaya-covered painting she thought was totally ruined.
She sold it. That painting, the one that got ruined, sold for 5,000 rupees. Which begs the question, who in their right mind would buy a canvas splattered with dried fruit? And here's the final perfect twist. It was the art critic from upstairs, Mrs. Junjanwala. She thought the papaya streaks were some bold new technique, and she absolutely loved it. The thing that started as a complete disaster actually became a valuable piece of art. And that's really the heart of the story, isn't it? Zigzag himself never actually changed. What changed was his environment. At home, he was bored, so he was a snoring problem. But in the clinic, where his unique skills were actually needed, he was an absolute treasure. Same bird, two completely different results. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. This story is such a great reminder that talent is all about context. What looks like a flaw in one place can be a genius-level skill somewhere else. It makes you wonder, right? What annoying habit of yours might just be a superpower waiting for the right stage? Where does your own hidden genius truly shine the brightest?